Basically, everybody in the gaming industry is talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows right now. There are some people who absolutely love it and are even going as far as to say it's going to be their game of the year. And then there are others who are just really disappointed with a lot of the bugs and glitches and the low level of quality we got from a game that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to develop and was delayed. But on one hand, we have Ubisoft saying that this is already a smashing success for them. They've sold 1 million copies in less than 24 hours, but gamers are also being silenced on the Steam community forums. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, over the years, gamers have become extremely vocal. We are not going to constantly let companies get away with BS, whether it is really bad microtransactions, like in a game such as Assassin's Creed Shadows, where for $10 you can unlock the entire map. Even though you can in the game by playing it, that's still a pretty ridiculous microtransaction to have. We have AI trailers being released for things like the Ark DLC, and we have games like Shadows that end up releasing and have quite a few problems. Now, I have already live streamed 5 hours of this game, and my initial impressions are not too bad. I think that the combat is pretty fun, even though the stealthing is pretty janky. There are gorgeous scenes. The settings are absolutely stunning. It does visually look like a next gen game, and I'm playing it on the PS5 Pro, so it is pretty enhanced compared to the PS5. It looks really good, and I like Noe as a character thus far, but there are still a lot of problems with the game. It is buggy, it is broken, there's issues connecting to certain ledges. I had a lot of visual bugs where like NPCs would fall through the ground or they would get stuck midair, and the AI is pretty bad. Like, it's not a terrible game so far, definitely not, but it also isn't something that I would ever consider game of the year material based on what I have played, and a lot of other people feel the same. There's a lot of threads circulating social media where people are showing that their games were broken, that they had a lot of issues where these enemies became invincible. You couldn't defeat them, and then what are you supposed to do? You either walk away, or if they're mandatory, you end up dying multiple times and hoping that it's going to reset. So we're just talking about a lot of problems that, yes, do ultimately add up. Here's one of my clips where I was fighting an enemy on a ladder and then he fell, and well, clearly he was flying through the sky, stuck in the air, whatever. But there are some people, yes, who are experiencing technical difficulties and who are trying to voice that on the forums. But unfortunately, if you want to go here and you actually want to discuss things, you need to understand that you're probably going to be silenced. Now, of course, there are a lot of people talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows. There are a lot of threads going up. As you can see, there's a whole page of just now ones releasing, and 2 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago, three, four, five. So there's constantly content being put on the forums. But if we really start to go back, there are threads that begin to be locked. Like anti-wokes or being cringy as always got locked because there was quite a long argument and I guess debate, we'll say, of people who are saying, no, we're just fairly criticizing, and then others who are saying, absolutely not, you're being unfair, and really you're just being a racist. Here we have a thread just from a couple of hours ago that say false advertising. Some rumors said that Ubisoft will patch the game so you can't attack some civilians and you can't destroy shrines anymore. If that's true, then it will probably fall into false advertising, since we could see so many videos showcasing this. Imagine if GTA 6 had these videos where you could hurt NPCs, and at release they patch it, now you can't do that. Also heard that the blood effect will be toned down on some situations, even though they bother to just remove it, like breaking stuff, and at release you can't break some stuff. I do think that the news of the patch that we had gotten has definitely upset a lot of people and worried a lot of people, and rightfully so. If companies start to silently censor their games, there are going to be more and more issues within a community. And while I understand that they are basically trying to avoid getting it banned in Japan, and they're trying to avoid upsetting Japanese gamers, it is still not a good look that, yes, they did end up marketing it one way and they're changing tons of different elements. We also have people talking about how right-wing mods are deleting threads celebrating the success of this game. They're making that claim, yet their thread is up and perfectly fine. There are people talking about how, please explain to me why you're buying this game. It contains de novo, so it is poorly optimized. It contains the Ubisoft launcher, which is terrible in itself. It contains a contract from Ubi, in which, if I remember, if you don't run their launcher for a while, they'll delete your account with the games you paid for. They are capable of doing that, yes, and they are also crossing our history, and all Japanese culture enthusiasts say how excited they are. But the fact that the Japanese are offended doesn't matter to Japanese culture enthusiasts, and they ended up blocking the topic. It's just people trying to discuss their feelings, and tons of people are being silenced. Ubisoft's double A quality, and then it's a lot of different videos and clips where people are discussing, the hardest difficulty or some of the bugs. And it's confusing to me how Ubisoft single-handedly popularized the stealth genre with Splinter Cell, then implemented stealth brilliantly in many Assassin's Creed games and Watch Dogs, and now they simply can't do it anymore. And there are people screeching at them saying, "Leave Assassin's Creed alone!" And the thread was locked. Now, I do think that it is important to bring up the fact that the official Assassin's Creed account claimed that they had already surpassed 1 million players by 4 p.m. yesterday, which does sound good for them initially. It seems that a lot of people are buying it and playing it, and my estimate was always that this game was going to sell 3 million copies from what we understand with the rumored budgets and the extra money they put in. Because of the delays, they need to sell like 7 million copies, and having less than 50K on Steam definitely isn't a good look. But they're saying there's 1 million players already giving this a shot. So will they hit that 3 million? I would assume so. Which ultimately is good, right? If you like this game and you bought it, I do hope you enjoy it. The reason why I'm streaming it is because I talked about it for so long. I think it's only fair to give it a shot. And so far, I don't think it's a 2 out of 10. I would say it's probably a 4. I'm just not very wowed by it. It does not feel like Assassin's Creed. Unfortunately, the past few games really haven't. But regardless, they're saying 1 million players. Now, they are not specifying sales, so that's led a lot of people to believe that they have given away a lot of copies, which I would tend to agree with, judging by the fact that in one of the replies they posted a bunch of keys. We also do not know how many people subscribe to Ubisoft Plus. This game is available that way. There could be 100,000 people who are just playing it through that. We do not know, and they're probably not going to be specific, but when you word things in such a complicated way or an indirect way, people are going to question you. How many sales? Why didn't you say sales, though? Players? How many copies have been sold? Money is what matters. Money. Y'all are on the verge of absolute bankruptcy and looking to strip the company for parts with Tencent. How many copies have you sold? Those could be trial subscriptions for all we know. And yeah, it definitely could be. Are they going to specify? Absolutely not. The only time we will probably hear about sales numbers is when they have investor calls, and then they have to admit it to them. But as of right now, we're just hearing 1 million players, which could be 100,000 sales, could be 200,000 sales. I would assume the majority are sales. I'm not going to sit here and like cap or anything. I think that they've probably sold like 700 or 800,000 copies, but it's just very suspicious the way that they're wording it, and it's led a lot of people to go, are you actually being serious, when we hear and see that on Steam they can't even hit 50,000 players. So I will be keeping my eye on this going forward. Maybe this game will be a smashing success. I'm not sure. But as of right now, we have this big problem going on where they're locking down tons of threads within the Steam discussions forums because they don't want people actually talking about what's going on and really just criticizing developers and criticizing the game and the state that it's in, and of course their numbers. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.